Hi guys, it's Miss Shar back today with another reading lesson. And today our goal is going to be focusing on point of view. We're going to first talk about what is point of view and then why is it important as a reader to understand what point of view is. Okay, so today we're going to start off by talking about what is point of view. Hopefully some of you have heard of that before, but if you have not or you kind of forgot, I'm going to give us a quick refresher. So point of view is simply who is telling the story. And there's three main types of point of view. One is called first person, the next is second person, and the third one is third person. Now, as you see at the bottom, I only have first and third because when you read stories, specifically fiction, you most likely, I would say 99.9% of the time, are going to come across first or third. You rarely see second person point of view written used in a fictional story. And if you look at our little picture up here, second person is when it says the word you in the book. Now, not just randomly using the word you, but it's talking directly to the reader, okay? And in our stories, we don't see that. So we're going to start off with first person point of view. And as you can see right here, first person uses the words I and we. So it is when the character acts as the narrator, meaning they are telling the story. Remember, the narrator is who is telling the story. So it comes from the character's point of view. Okay, in the story they will say I, they will say we, but we'll get into more of that in just a second. And another point of view you will see in fiction stories is third person. As you see up here, some examples are he, she, it, they. So third person is when the author is an outside observer telling the story, meaning they are not inside the action of the book. They are just up. I kind of always visualize it as someone who's above the whole story and can see a little bit of everything. So let's dig a little deeper into these 2 points of view. Once again, first person point of view, the narrator is a character in the story. And the narrator, being the character, uses words I, me, my, us, ours, we, because they are part of the story. So as you start reading, you will be able to identify the point of view very quickly. If you start seeing these words and asking yourself, who's telling the story? Oh, it's a character in the book. Then it is in first person point of view. So for example, here is example sentence below. It says, as I gazed at the beaches of Hawaii, I couldn't believe my eyes. So I'm asking myself, what point of view is that sentence told from? Well, I've got 3 clues. Clue number 1 is this first I. The second one is this I. And the third one would be the word my. There is someone telling their point of view of this situation. So that is first person point of view. The other one you will see in fiction is third person. And it is when the narrator is not a character in the story. So like I said, kind of picture those are the ones that can tell the thoughts and they see everything. They're like, I think of them on top of, there was some movie playing out, they would be able to see everything happening. The narrator uses words like he, she, they, them, him, her, or their, because most of the time they're talking about a lot more than just one main character. So here's an example. Lucy tried as hard as she could, but she still couldn't get the soccer ball in the net. The example here is because you see the words she, and talking specifically about the character named Lucy. So that is third person point of view. Remember, first person is told from a character in the story, so it uses words like I, me, we, and third person is someone, the narrator is not a character in the story, so they use he, she, they, and so on. Okay guys, so we're going to give this a whirl using hopefully what you had a chance to listen to last week, the Scarlet Stockings Spy. So this was our read aloud that we used to kind of kick off our historical fiction unit. So we're going to practice identifying point of view. And like I just said, point of view is going to be pretty easy to identify within the first couple of pages. The book does not flip-flop points of view. It might flip-flop perspectives, meaning whose character is the perspective coming from, but point of view between first and third is going to stay pretty much the same throughout the entire book. So it's good because you can find it right off the bat. So I'm going to reread you just the first 2 pages of this book, and I want you, as you hear me reading, I want you to think, okay, is this book being told from the main character's point of view? Are we getting, remember Maddie Rose is our main character, are we getting her point of view? Meaning, is she saying I, me, we? Or is there a narrator who's not in the story telling the story, using he, she, her, him, they? So I want you to listen as I read these first couple of pages and see if we can identify. In the fall of 1777, Philadelphia sat twitching like a nervous mouse. The British were going to attack, but no one knew where or when. Congress had fled inland to York. The Liberty Bell was secreted to Allentown. Folks thought the year resembled a hangman's gallows and took it as a bad sign. Now, all the church bells were being removed to keep the British from melting them into firearms. From that first page, I can't tell, so I'm going to keep reading to see if I can identify it. Uncertainty settled over the city like soot. Suspicion sulked through the cobblestone streets like hungry alley cats. Rumors multiplied like horseflies. Spies were everywhere. Some spied for the British, loyal to the king. Others spied for the Patriots, loyal to Washington's army, now camped west of the city. Still, other spies were loyal to lining their pockets. But one little spy moved through the streets unnoticed, even though she wore scarlet stockings. Her name was Maddie Rose, and she lived with her mother and brother in the Leather Apron district next to the harbor, where the city's tradesfolks lived and worked in narrow brick row houses. Did you hear it? I think there was like 3. Her name, she, her. When it's using he, she, and her, it's third person. So that means that the author is telling the point of view from third person because it gives us a bigger picture of what's happening in the story and doesn't just limit it to our main character. So it's going to be your turn to try. So what I want you guys to do is you are going to actually listen to chapter 2 of Toliver's Secret, and you are going to identify what is the point of view of Toliver's Secret. So I want you to think, is this being told from a first person's perspective or a third person's perspective? Then be ready to tell us how you know and why you think the author chose that. Because points of view, guys, when you're talking about point of view, you have to think the author has a choice. They chose to write it in either first person or third person. So why do you think that the author chose what they chose? So click that next button and listen to chapter 2, and good luck with your assignment.